Hello. Thank you guys for joining me today on this video. I want you to grab some coffee, some tea, a pad, a pencil, because you're going to want to take some notes about what I'm going to go over here today with you, okay? Going to be some life-changing concepts and principles that I'm going to share that I've spent many, many years developing. Because anybody who knows me, and this is for all you people who know me and you know who you are, and all you people who are about to get to know me now, going to become lifelong friends, I hope. I'm going to help guide you to a better way of life. Okay? Truth of the matter is, I'm reaching out to a lot of people who are about to retire. And I'm not 100% certain whether or not they're completely prepared to undertake this new time in their lives. I'm recently retired. So I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be honest with you. When I retired several months ago, about 10 months ago, I thought I was ready for retirement, but I wasn't. Okay? But it did help me discover a few things that I want to share with you right now and help you go forward. And if you're not ready, I think you will be by the end of this. Something that you have to understand is that I've always thought that knowledge was power. Even when I graduated high school back in 1983, my high school graduation ring on one side said, knowledge is power. And I made it my business to learn something new every single day for the past 40-something years, right? I discovered, however, that knowledge is not power. That constant thing that people push at you, that knowledge is power, it's not true. Only applied knowledge is power. So I developed a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge that I was doing nothing with. So made me understand something that Albert Einstein said, that the meaning of insanity is continuing to do the same things and expecting a different result. We're all guilty of that. You know you are, just like I was. I do the same thing because we're in a comfort zone, and we don't want to go outside of that comfort zone. But outside of that comfort zone, that's where all the success is. You have to take uncomfortable action in order to achieve things that you've never achieved before. Keeping that in mind, we're going to go forward and we're going to discuss a lot of concepts that are going to help you plan better for your future and take positive action that's going to be cumulative in a way that you will be able to accomplish unimaginable things. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, at the end of this journey, at the end of this conversation that we're going to have today, you're going to want so much more because you're going to see that there's so much that you can actually do. You haven't had a floor plan or a blueprint to do it. And that's one of the issues that I've always had. That even though there was a lot of skills out there, a lot of knowledge to be attained, I really didn't know what to do with it. But we're going to change that today, okay? Sit back. Enjoy this conversation. Take as many notes as you can. And let's begin. Let's begin our journey. Okay, one of the things that I want to tell you is a little story. Okay? When I say to you that knowledge is not power, only applied knowledge is power, it's what I found out the hard way, that you could take in all the information, all the skills, all the education that you want, but if you're just a career student and don't apply those skills and don't apply that knowledge, then pretty much everything's going to stay still. It's going to stay exactly the way it is. We have to start making changes, and the only way to make those changes in our results, in our outcome, is by making changes in the actions that we take now and making changes in some of the habits. I'm going to go into all of that. Okay, so the first thing I want to discuss is about when I retired. Okay, when I retired, I run a side business. I have a website. The website is www.tacticalgearplus.com. And you could go check it out. I mean, I sell non-lethal solutions to today's problems to keep families safe without having to go to jail by, hurting someone or taking a life in self-defense. So I got pepper sprays there, I got stun guns, and this is not a commercial for that. This is just something that I do because I care about helping keep people safe. All right, so my mantra for the website is live fearlessly, because we have that right, okay? But here's the thing though, I'm thinking that because I have a website, and it's a good website, and that I put a lot of effort into good products, I put a lot of effort into the design. I did everything that was in my power to build the best website that I could. Now, there's a movie that most of you have seen, The Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams kept saying over and over, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Well, guess what? I built it. They didn't come. I got my sales. I got my limited set of customers and whatnot. But here's what I want to tell you. When I retired, I'm relying on my pension. 20 years as a law enforcement officer. The fact of the matter is that when I go from getting paid, let's say, bi-weekly to just once a month, and you have to stretch that for your family and to pay your bills, to pay your rent or mortgage or whatever you have, you start to realize that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't ready. I wasn't entirely ready to retire when I did. But I had to go. I just, it was a long time working that job. The job got kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. It was something that I cherished. I loved that job, but it was something when it came time to go, I was like, I'm going. But I also got faced now with the reality that all the years that I spent learning what I learned, because I spent every single day of my life learning something new. But I wasn't applying that I learned. That's why this is all coming about here. You have to plan to be where you want to be. So a lot of people say, oh, you know, at this stage of my life, I'm trying to discover myself, find myself. And I have to call bullshit. You know exactly where you are. We all do. You don't have to find yourself. You have to create yourself. Now, I've had I have had a massive change in my whole mindset, because I came to realize that I continuously do the same thing, so I continuously get the same outcome. I want to change that. I'm actually changing it for myself. I've created new milestones for myself, for my business. And I want to create these milestones for you, and I want to help you understand that there is a way to get out of that same old routine, that same old rut, and start building towards something better, so that when you do retire, now you have something that's actually viable, that you can actually provide for your family and change things that you want to do. And I'll give you an example. Like, if I have a goal, and my goal, I told my wife, actually, my goal is I want to make $2 million by next year. So my wife looks at me, you know, she takes me with a grain of salt. She's like, okay, you know, she's very supportive. So I said to her, now imagine this. Let's say I come to you after a year and I say, hon, I failed. I did not make $2 million. I only made 100,000. Wow. Please, tears. That's still something that I did not have. And that's the concept that I want you guys to understand. You have to dream big. You have to plan big. And if you get a fraction of that, you're still going to have more than you have today. You have to be able to sustain yourself. The way this economy is going right now, it's in dire straits. We're in bad shape. So we have to take it upon ourselves. And I'm gonna teach you later on. I built a digital product to help you plan for your goals. That comes later. Okay? But for now, let's talk about certain concepts that I think are huge, and they've actually made a difference in me already. So now I'm going to share with you. One of the things I want to talk to you about is a little principle called Kaizen. It's a Japanese principle for big business people. The fact is that any big business can increasingly grow by creating smaller tasks that lead up to these bigger growth. So the concept of Kaizen, really, if you want to break it down, all it means is how do you eat an elephant? Not that you're going to eat an elephant, but just follow me here. You eat an elephant one bite at a time, and eventually you can eat that elephant. Now, how do you run a 10,000 meter race? A 10,000 meter race is a 10 kilometer or a 6.2 mile race. How do you run a race of that length? One step at a time. It's the only way you can do it. One step at a time. So that goes for big business, that goes for little business, that goes for your savings, for your investment, for your retirement. It's all the same. And when I talk about retirement, I'm not just talking about us guys who are in our 40s, 50s, ready to retire within the next year or two or 5. If you're a 20-year-old listening to me right now, and you start to adapt these concepts, you could retire at the age of 40 or 50 with a few $1 million in the bank or in investments. Okay? So this is not just for my generation. This is for the upcoming generations, and this is, as far as our generation is concerned, we should be able to leave enough inheritance for the next 3 generations. Not just us, not just our spouse now, not just our kids. Our kids, our children's children should be able to not have to worry like we did. Okay, which is why I'm going over all of this with you. So remember, Kaizen. That changed my life because I am that guy that will sit and work through the night trying to get all these huge tasks accomplished, thinking that only big tasks would give me big results. When I started to learn about Kaizen, which was several months ago, I started to ease up a little. I started to realize, hey, listen, if I just do this every day, it's cumulative. This little task every day. I started seeing that over a month, over 2 months, those little tasks were adding up. And this is all going to come to play later. Okay, this is all going to come to play. Kaizen, remember Kaizen. Every day, remember that. Little tasks, done consistently, will give you great results. Okay, that's number 1. Now, we got the 20-80 rule. 20-80 rule, everybody has heard of it. I'm sure most people have. But the 20-80 rule, all it is telling you that 20% of the tasks that you do will give you 80% of your results, right? So that 20% of the tasks, which we have to determine what they are, done consistently, and here goes the word again, consistently, are going to create 80% of your end result that you're going to see later on, let's say within a year or 5 years or whatever amount of time you want to give yourself. And those things are so impactful when you start seeing those 20% little tasks accumulate as you do your weekly assessment, your monthly assessment, and then your yearly assessment. You're going to go, wow, things are so different. And that's another thing, that's another concept I want to tell you. When you create a goal, and I'm talking a lot about goals because the digital product that I have to offer you later on has everything to do with setting your goals. Because as a youngster, I've always wanted to be able to set goals, and everybody set goals, write them down, do this, do that. But nobody ever really told me a roadmap how to make it effective. I'm going to teach you that roadmap later, and you're going to take it upon yourself. You can do it exactly the way I show you, or you can create your own. But the important thing is know what you're doing and how to do it. So, okay, with the 20-80 rule, that 20% is so important. And then everything else that you could do besides that 20%, that's just gravy. Those are things that if you have time to do, you do them. You will make time for them, but get your 20% down first. All right, that little chunk. And then you can move on with your day. Okay, so now I'm moving along because if if we go into each one of these concepts in depth, I could write books on every one of these concepts. The fact of the matter is, I want to give you an understanding, a concept, something for you to be able to say, oh, you know what, I can do this. I can take this and I can run with it. And basically that's all you need, is to have an understanding of these little concepts, for you to realize the potential of things that you could put together in order to change your life. You got to think outside the box. That's number one. You have to think outside the box. You can't continue to do things because they're comfortable. You have to take uncomfortable action. I'm going to keep repeating certain things because I want to ingrain them into your mind and let you understand that to stay comfortable, your results are going to stay the same. Nothing's going to change. We all need change. We can all do better. So let's start tweaking a little bit the way we think, because our thought process is uber important in us making changes. If you put negative thoughts in, negative results will come out. I promise you that. If you put positive thoughts in, you put positive thoughts out. Positive results. And here's another thing. A lot of gurus out there, they're going to give you self-talk. They're going to give you a lot of repetitive affirmations. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing. I do them, right? I wrote my own. I recorded mine. I listen to myself every day. But the concept of these affirmations and creating that positive mindset, they leave it at that. And the fact is that these thoughts, without actions, will have zero results. Absolute zero results. Have the mindset, have the thoughts, but take action. Okay? Take action. The more action you take, the more results you get. When you get results, it will motivate you to go further and get bigger results. Okay, so that being said, let's move on to the next. We're going to talk about discipline versus motivation. I just mentioned motivation. Now, when you go, if you've ever been to a seminar or somebody speaking, there's some people that speak so, oh my God, so eloquently and inspirational, and they have such power behind their words. Let me tell you, I've been to seminars where I've come out of there, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to change my life. Everything's going to be different. I got this, right? So what happens now? The source of the motivation is that speaker, right? And as such, when that speaker's not there, now you go on another day, another 2 days, and the source of that motivation is no longer there in the back of your mind telling you, hey, you can do this, this is the way it's going to happen. And so now that motivation starts to die down and die down. If you don't keep yourself motivated, then the action that comes with it will also start to dwindle, which is why discipline is the key to continuing your momentum. And that's what we want to do. We want to continue our momentum. So what that means is sometimes you wake up in the morning, you have a certain routine. We're going to talk about routines and success habits in a little bit. But you have a certain routine that you do. And you wake up in the morning and you're not always going to feel like doing it. Let's be honest. It's always going to be something else that we can do or something else we want to do. That might even include sleeping in a little bit. But discipline is going to tell you, no, wait. This is a task that I must do every day. And whether I want to do it or I don't want to do it, I'm going to get started. Once you get started, in other words, action, again, repeating. Once you get started, then it becomes easier to just continue to focus and do what you need to do. Discipline, remember that. It's discipline that's going to guide you on those days when you don't feel like doing anything, or you don't feel like doing the right thing, right? Get yourself disciplined, and discipline you can only attain by working on it daily. And you work on it daily by taking uncomfortable action and by doing the things that you know you have to do, regardless of what's going on around you. Because life is going to happen. Life happens to all of us. You're always going to find a reason not to do something that you know you have to do. And there's nobody that's going to tell you to do it. I'm not going to be there. Tony Robbins, and I speak Tony Robbins, this guy's amazing. I just did a World Summit with him. I went to a World Summit. Him and Dean Graziosi and a lot of Russell Brunstein. There's a lot of other speakers were there. It was amazing. It was amazing. He gave me momentum to keep going forward and doing some of the things, and I learned so much. Some of which I'm sharing. Some of which is from the summit. Some of which is from before that, because I've been studying self-help for years and years, and I'm here to share with you now. You're not paying for this, so don't take it lightly just because I'm offering it to you for free. Take it from a friend. Understand the concepts that I'm explaining to you and start taking action. And when are you going to start taking action? When are you going to start taking action? You're going to start taking action today, right now, right as we're talking. You're writing down these things. You're going to say, how can I employ this in my life? What can I do better? Okay? And then later on, I'm going to try to put it together. All right? So now, discipline versus motivation. Remember, motivation is good, but discipline is what's going to keep you going. As a matter of fact, I got a thing here, which was for later, but I'm going to tell you now. And it says that inspiration is great, but immersion creates transformation. Now, Dean Graziosi said that. Inspiration is great, but immersion creates transformation. So you could be inspired. Anybody could be inspired at any given moment for whatever given reason. It could be a movie you saw, a seminar. It could have been some of this, maybe even this talk I'm having with you right now. But immersion means that you're going to actually put yourself all in to whatever activity it is that's going to get you to where you want to be. Okay? That's going to create transformation, and that's actually what we're looking for. Okay? I've always said this. I maybe shared it with some of you guys that worked with me or friends of mine. I've always said that don't strive to achieve, strive to become. Because when you become that person that you want to be, all the other achievements are going to come with it. You cannot fail once you become that person that you want to be. And that's kind of my goal. My goal is the person that I want to become, I'm sharing with you. The person that I want to become is that guy that you can come to if you need help to get to another level, to get past a certain problem, and do things that you never thought possible. I want to be that guy to help you. I've learned to do it. I want to help you do it. Okay, so that's important. And I kind of went ahead of myself on that, but that's okay. It's a conversation going back and forth. All right, so now, raise your hand if you agree. You can do this because you have the power to help to change your thoughts and to change your habits. Raise your hand if you agree with me, because everyone here that I'm talking to right now, every one of you, have that power to change anything you want, for the good or for the bad, for worse. All right, let's try to change everything for the better. Let's strive to make life better for ourselves, for our family, and also to lead by example, because I noticed one thing. Well, my children aspire for greatness. My children just want to crush it all the time. And one of the reasons why is because they've seen me struggle, sure, like everybody else, but they've also seen that I never give up. I'm always ahead of some kind of plan of something that I'm going to try, and I've never been afraid to try. So that's the reason why I know for a fact that I'll be able to change lives, including that of my family. And I also inspired my children. My children can't say, oh, my dad was a quitter, my dad, he was a loser, a failure. Hey, listen, people have failed thousands upon thousands of times. And when they make that one breakthrough, that they change the world, that's what they're remembered for. They're not remembered for the failures that they had on their way there. To me, failures are all lessons. They don't end there. Okay? They push you to now go forward, but with more experience. So you just get better and better, and that's what I've done. That's what you're going to do. I know that that's what you're going to do. Okay, so now we have to go with creating a vision, because without a vision, we actually have nothing. It's the same as if you get up in the morning and you hop in your car. You might have heard this before, but you're going to hear it again. Hop in your car. You turn on the car, but you didn't have a destination. You just get in your car, turn on the gas, start driving. You're going to drive around in circles. You're going to drive and drive, but you're going to get absolutely nowhere, because you didn't have a destination. And that's the same thing exactly with life. And that's the problem that we've all had. We get up, we go to a job that some of us don't like our jobs. I mean, I did, but not everyone does. But you get up every morning and you go do that work that you hate for somebody else, making them rich, right? And you have absolutely, like, you have no fulfillment because you didn't do something that you loved. You didn't do something that you cared about. And that's basically what this whole thing boils down to, is that we have to create our vision towards doing that we love and creating our life around that. Without a vision, you get nowhere. It's the same. You get in your car, you go, you have a destination. If you don't know how to get there, guess what you do? GPS, right? Now it's GPS. Back in the day, it was you have a map, a road map, and that map tells you exactly, turn by turn, how to get there. Right now, it's a GPS. I want to try to be the GPS for you if I can. Okay. So, I want to show you a little PowerPoint presentation real quick, but you're going to kind of bring this point home for you. Okay. So just bear with me for a moment. Okay. I got something to put here for you. Okay, I start here. This is where I begin my journey to learn a skill or achieve something that I want to achieve, and this is where I want to be. Okay, so I start my journey, and of course, as I start, I really don't know what I'm doing. I make mistakes. As you can see, I'm not going in that direction of the goal. I'm going downward. I'm still declining, making mistakes, but as I make these mistakes, guess what? I'm learning. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You never fail. You just learn. These are lessons. Now, you see a little curve. I'm starting to understand the steps that I'm taking and what I'm doing to achieve that goal. And I start climbing closer to the goal that I'm trying to reach. And here at this point, I just reached the goal, right? So now you are here. You start here, but you want to be here. This is where you want to be, okay? So you need something to get you from where you are to where you want to be without having to make all the mistakes and go through all the issues that I just went through. So what you need is a bridge. Guess who's the bridge? I just went through this. I did it. I learned. You don't have to deal with all the mistakes. You can just use me as a bridge to get to where you want to be. And when you do that, guess what? Everybody's happy. Okay? So this is the path that you want to take. Why should you go through all the steps and all the mistakes? If somebody has already done it and can teach you or bridge you to that location, that's what my purpose is right now. I want to be that bridge for you, and I want to get you to where you want to be. Okay? If you give me the opportunity, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that presentation. I mean, that is so valuable to have someone that could help you bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Let me be that bridge for you. Okay? I'm hoping that you're getting an idea of some of the concepts that are going to help you change your life in massive ways. Okay? It's a little bit more to go, so bear with me. Okay. The next concept is you have to start with why. You have to know what you want, which is the vision that we just talked about. But then you have to know why is that important to you. I have a thing called the 7 levels. It will help you pinpoint the real reason behind why you want to go to where you want to go to. And I didn't invent it. I was taught it by Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, great guys. I'm telling you, these you can get any of their training material or go to one of their seminars. I mean, they're not cheap. They're not cheap, right? When I tell you they're in the thousands of dollars, it's worth every penny. All right. But like I put it on Facebook. I went to the World Summit this summer, and it was 3 days, totally immersive, and maybe like 10 hours a day. So we had about 40 hours in 3 days, and let me tell you, I would not have missed that for the world. As a matter of fact, I'll probably go next year again because there's probably more. I don't mean to make a commercial about this summit, but it was just so good and so edifying. So I'm going to digress and come back to where we were, okay? So you got to start with why, because if you have an emotion, if you have a reason why you're doing what you're doing, it's going to be so much more impactful for you to do the things to do that you need to get there. And I give you an example of what I mean. Is it enough to say, hey, I want $1 million? Hey, sure, that's great. $1 million is good, right? But is that going to motivate you to do certain things that are outside of your comfort zone in order to get that $1 million? How about this instead? I want to be able to feed 300,000 children. And in order for me to do that, I have to get $1 million. Sure, some of that $1 million is going to be for me. But with that, I want to feed 300,000 children in one of these countries that the children are suffering and not enough help is coming in. I want to be that guy. To me, I want to get that $1 million. But I don't want to get that $1 million so I could buy myself luxury. I want to get that because it means so much to help those children. One of my things is going to be the Children's Hospital for Cancer right here in Manhattan, because they don't charge the families for their services, but they really care about these children, and they rely solely on donations. So to me, that's my thing. I'm just sharing that with you. I'm sorry, but that to me is one of the driving forces for me to make a better living. I mean, not to mention I have grandchildren, I have children. I don't know how much time I have left on earth. I want to be able to leave them something so that they don't have to go through some of the things that I went through in my lifetime. Which brings me to another point. When you start with why, it kind of helps you dig deep and to understand what you're really all about. And that brings me to a story with Dean Graziosi again. I read his book called A Millionaire Success Habits, right? And success habits are something that the most successful people create certain habits in their daily lives. But while reading the book, he had a very interesting chapter about stories that we tell ourselves. We all have them. We all have a story. You have a story. Everyone does. And I'm going to share with you something that I discovered that I had no idea was part of a story that I was living my entire life. Okay? Now, if I ask you what's your story, what is it that's keeping you from achieving that will make you great, you're probably going to say, oh, there's no story. It's just, it's my reality. It's my surroundings. It's the economy. It's the government. And where some of that is true, but we all have a story that is actually either keeping us back or swinging us forward. And I'm going to share one with you right now. There's no ego here. This is from the heart. Judge me if you will, but I'm going to share this with you. I grew up in a very impoverished family. My last name, as you know, is Rodriguez. So, all right, I'm a minority, but I never thought that was part of my backstory that I had in the back of my mind, right? But what I did observe was this. I observed every member of my family struggle to such hardships, unbearable hardships, and never be able to break out of that, right? One of my brothers, one of my older brothers, he suffered immensely, and nothing ever went right. He passed away in coma. And I felt in my heart that, oh my God, This guy, even though he was so good, never accomplished anything, and I felt that's what we're worth, right? Then my second brother, right? Now he's just my younger brother now, right? He's taking care of my mom. He has a house. He worked in corrections for 7 years, and was had to retire because of, I guess, stressful situation that was going on. So here goes another guy and had a career. Now he's struggling with his common law wife, and guess what? This year he passes away, still struggling. My older brother, disabled, he's still around, diabetes, barely walk. My sister, disabled. My mother, dementia, schizophrenia, mental issues, elderly. She's like 87 years old, sweetest woman in the world, and she's in a nursing home because we couldn't afford it any better. Okay, so here I am, and I didn't accept this until after I read the book, and there was a chapter where I was pretty much forced to really sit down and think, what is my story? Okay, here's my story. I wrote it down. Maybe I should read it to you. I'll tell you. He said, write it down, and I wrote it down. When I finally realized what my story was after all these years, I'm 57 years old. And my story is, this is my story as I wrote it. My story has always been that no Rodriguez from my family has ever been able to break away from the poverty we have known throughout our lives. So who the fuck am I to be able to break that chain of poverty and lack? And when I realized that that was my story, I determined that story is bullshit. I'm no longer gonna be entrapped and kept down by a story that's as false as all the bullshit that the news has been feeding us. That's all it is. It's fake news. It's bullshit. I will no longer live that. Okay? My story is, I am the one that's going to break that chain of lack and that chain of necessity. And I'm going to bring myself to the level like nobody's ever seen. And I'm not only going to do it for myself, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for everyone that's willing to hear me out and understand the concepts that I'm bringing to you. And I'm bringing this to you from the heart. I'm not bringing it to you. I'm not asking you for money. I'm bringing it to you because I understand that just like me, there's a lot of people out here who need to see things a different way and start to do things a different way. Because again, the definition of insanity is to continue doing what you've been doing and expect different results. I expect different results now because I know there is a better way and that I'm worth so much more. But it took that. I'm 57 years old, and it took this long for me to understand and actually accept what my story was. I'm going to move on, but I do recommend something to you right now. When you finish watching this video, I need you to sit down, ask yourself what your story is. Why are you not where you want to be? Write that down. Keep that. Remember that always. That this false narrative that you've been living is no longer going to keep you back, okay? That's going to be probably the biggest thing that you're going to do. Probably the biggest thing you're going to get out of this video. And I'm going to move on, okay? The next thing that I want to talk to you about is, which I already mentioned, by the way. I went ahead of myself. The inspiration is great, but immersion creates transformation. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for transformation. We're not looking for that temporary inspiration or to do something because somebody motivated us to do it. We're looking to transform our lives. And the only way to do that is by taking uneasy action or uncomfortable action, okay? I mentioned that before. So I want to move on from that one, okay? Now we're going to talk about habits, all right? We all have habits. If you think about what you do when you wake up in the morning, right? You have a routine. I don't know what it is. I know I have mine. Mine is I would wake up and I would, play some backgammon on my phone because I like backgammon. And I would do that for maybe a half an hour or so. And then I would scramble out of bed and go get me some coffee and sit in front of the computer and watch some YouTube videos. I started realizing that that was such a waste of time. That if I could tweak that, like for example, I wake up in the morning and get my body moving, okay? Because as you get older, your body needs to move. You need to get, and that also opens up your mind and helps you out. Then the next thing is I get the coffee, but now I'm going to chunk that. I'm gonna connect that habit with something else. And the first cup of coffee is connected now to reading at least a half an hour in the morning, but I like to read more than that. And I read throughout the day. That's one problem I don't have. I read. I learn. I suggest the same. There's so much material out there that can help you. Like I said, Success Habits or A Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. Start with that. If you want a list of other books that you can read and should read, just put some comments in the comment section, and I'll be happy to give you a list of books that I think you should start off with. Get you really far, besides just doing these things that I'm telling you to do here. Okay, so now the next thing is the habits are important because you have habits which are not conducive to your progress. Switch them out. Change them. Decide what can I replace this habit with to make my goals a reality. Take something that's not doing anything for you and replace it with something that is going to lead you towards something better. One of the things that I also can tell you is if you take your goals for the year, you break that down to monthly, weekly, and daily goals, and you take those goals and you make sure that, remember the 20-80 rule, that 20% of your tasks is going to create 80% of your successes or your results. You take those 4 or 5 things and you make sure that every single day you're doing those things. And they should probably be the first things you do in the day, because you get them out of the way and then you have time to do the other little goals, whether it's take a walk, run, learn something, learn a new skill, whatever it is that you want to do. You can add those on during the day. Just make sure you're doing the things that need to be done. Okay, don't neglect those things. So now we're going to go into your future success is totally dependent on your ability to plan the route to get there. So we spoke about driving your car, having no plan, no route, and you drive around in circles. That's basically a repetition of what I said before. If you have no route, you get nowhere. Okay? And I don't make a lot of guarantees because so many things can happen. But there's one thing I can guarantee, and I say it all the time. Personal guarantee, take it from the man. If you do nothing, you will get nothing. I promise you that. Okay? So you have to decide, and I mentioned this before in the topic of your vision, right? You have to decide what you want. Because unless you decide, make a decision what it is that you want and why you want it, then you're not going to create a plan to get there. And if you don't create a plan, and I'm not talking about just a mental plan, it has to be in writing. If you don't create a plan, you're never going to get there. All right? You're going to continuously get what you've been getting. And if you do nothing, you're going to get nothing. And I know it's not enough to just get up and go to work every day for someone else, but not plan for yourself. Because you got people that are depending on you. And sooner or later, you're going to retire. And when you do, that's when reality hits. It hit me. But I make changes, and I want you to do the same, okay? Now, we're getting closer to the end. So, bear with me just a little bit longer and pick up these next couple of little tidbits of information or principles. And listen, I'll be here with a lot more in the future. But take these right now and let's get started, okay? Okay. So now, here's my next issue. What exactly is the problem? What is the problem? Have any idea what the problem is? All it is, really, is a question that hasn't been answered yet. Okay? A question that hasn't been answered yet. Now, who said this? Tony Robbins said this. One of the smartest men I've ever seen in my life. This guy is amazing, the amount of knowledge that this man has. But the truth is, and I realized it, the truth is that A problem is only a question that you haven't answered yet. So if you ask the right questions and you answer those questions, you solve the problem. But here's the key though. Consider this. You spend only 5% of the time on the question. 95% of the time has to be spent on finding that solution. And if you do that, you're going to be a master problem solver like you would not believe. Be a master problem solver. There's no problem that can't be solved. But all it is a question. Answer the question. Solve the problem. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay? That's a short one. It's plain and clear. Look at things if you look at things differently, you'll be able to solve them more effectively, more efficiently. Okay. Now, consistency. Consistency. Man, I can't stress this enough. Consistency is the key to success. Okay? Anything that you do, what you consistently do, is who you become. That you consistently do is who you become. There's no question. It's guaranteed. You do something over and over and over, guess what? It might be awkward at first. It might be difficult at first. But the longer you do it, the better you become. It becomes easy. It becomes a part of who you are. Just remember, consistency. Everything, consistent action will get you results like you've never seen before. I promise you that, because that's the one thing that I've come to appreciate. And I'm a martial artist, let's just put it like that. And I realized that as a martial artist, I would take any new technique, and I've been doing martial arts for 43 years, any new technique, and I would break it down. And I would consistently drill it until it became a part of me. That's how come a lot of people see some of the stuff that I do. And they're like, oh my God, it looks so easy. But when they try it, they're like, oh, what the hell? Guess what? Anybody can do what I do. Anybody can do. All you have to do is be consistent. The same thing goes for business. If you have a business, you have something that you love, that you enjoy doing, guess what? Consistently learn how to apply the marketing, or how to apply advertising, or how to apply the methodology of teaching it, or whatever it is you want to do. And you will gradually become so good at it that others will need you to help become their bridge, like I'm trying to be your bridge. Consistency, man. Guaranteed will give you all the results that you're looking for. I promise you that. Okay? Now, there's a saying in the Og Mandino book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. Og Mandino book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. If you get the audio book, it's only 2 hours. I guess, spoiler alert. If you're not religious, you're going to have a problem with the ending, because it talks about Jesus Christ. Okay? If you could put that aside, because there's nothing wrong with Jesus Christ, but there's so much knowledge in that. It's about scrolls. One of the scrolls, I believe it's the third scroll, it says that I will persist until I succeed. That alone, I will persist until I succeed. That should be everybody's mantra. I will persist until I succeed, because anybody who persists long enough at any venture will have success. So I use that. I repeat it. Dean Graziosi repeats it. I will persist until I succeed. It's an amazing, amazing comment. Okay, there are others in that book by Og Mandino. I'll leave that to your judgment. I think you should read it. I recommend it. It's up to you. Okay? And now, Dean Graziosi says something also. Now, when you're tackling your daily tasks, he recommends that you use RPM. And I'll tell you what RPM is. RPM. Rather than try to achieve each task as a task in itself, try to achieve the result. In other words, find out what is the result that I want from this task. Okay? What is the result that I want from this task? Then when you're doing the task, keep the result in mind and get it done until you get that result that you're looking for. If you do all, and I say 5 tasks that you have to do every day to get to your yearly goal, at the very least, you take all those tasks and you do it this way and find out what's the result that you want out of every one of them. and you get the result rather than just, because sometimes you just do the task and it's kind of a mundane task and you're not really into it, blah, blah. But once you're looking to get a certain result, it means a little bit more. Okay? Second part of that, which is P, is purpose. We spoke about purpose earlier. The reason why. So why do you need this result? This result is going to get you closer to that bigger goal, yeah? It's going to get you X amount of money or payment or whatever. Whatever that reason why is, know the reason why you're doing it to get the result that you want to get. Okay, now number 3 is M. What is M? Massive action plan. That word action keeps coming up, doesn't it? Because any idea, any goal, or any dream that you may have without an action plan will be just a thought or just a dream or just a fantasy. It will get absolutely nowhere. Action is the key to everything, including fear. If you're afraid and someone attacks you, and you may be scared, but you do something, whether that thing is run or whether that thing is fight back or whatever it is, that fear seems to dissipate. Okay? So, action. Action is the key. Action is the key. Action is the key to all results that you want to get in life, in relationships, in everything. Because if you have a wife or you have children and you don't pay them any mind, you don't take that action to show them that they mean something to you, guess what happens? That starts to kind of fall apart. Okay? Action, action, action. One of the things that we neglect most is one of the most important things in every aspect. Action. I emphasize it because it's so important. And I want to leave you with a thought, and this thought is by this UFC fighter. His name is Johnny Walker. He fought at Adesanya for the championship just a few weeks ago. And Adesanya seemed like an unbeatable person, unbeatable fighter. And as a matter of fact, he was actually beating this Johnny Walker. It was a 5-round fight. And he beat him round after round after round after round. I said, you know what, this fight is decided. I'm like, it's done. I resigned to Adesanya winning yet again. Okay. This young man, Johnny Walker, he said this, and it actually hit me. I was like, wow, this is amazing, and I want to share it with you. He said, without commitment, you will never start. And without consistency, you will never finish. Do you realize how true that is? Those are words of wisdom that are going to resonate forever with me because it's how I live. It's true. Without commitment, you will never start, and without consistency, you will never finish. So keep these thoughts in mind. If you have any questions or anything from me, please put it in the comments below, and I'll be happy to try. Now, I want to go one more thing I want to tell you. I've created a digital product. The digital product is called the Blueprint for Goal Setting, or Goal Setting Blueprint. The reason why I created that digital product is in PDF form is because, like I told you earlier, many times I've been told as a youth and even as an older person that I have to create goals and write them down and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I wrote down, a year from now I want to make $1 million and I want this. Okay, I know it sounded boring because it was boring, right? It had absolutely no substance to it because it didn't have an actual plan, right? But I was never given a blueprint. I actually looked up many blueprints. Some of them were free. Some of them charged $30 or more. There was one that was 30 pages long. It was confusing as all hell. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I created something that I think if you print it out, guess what? I'll tell you the price right now. It's $19.97. You have to invest in yourself. If you're going to print it out and leave it there, don't bother ordering it. I'm serious, because I don't just want to sell you something for $19.97. I need you to commit to printing that out, filling it in, because I have a plan for you that you fill in your yearly plan, and then you take stock monthly. Did you achieve what you needed to? weekly? Did you achieve your need to? Did you do your 5 daily things? If you did, well, you great, wonderful. Give yourself a pat on the back. But if you didn't, why not? Make yourself accountable. This accountability in writing this out this way, and it will help you understand and look at exactly what you need to do. Are you on track? If you're not on track, get on track. What do you need to get on track? Right? Take a look at it. Have a 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like what it does for you, get your money back. It's not a problem. I'm not even after your money. I'm after your success. Another thing I realize is if you don't pay attention. So it's a very modest fee. But what I want you to get out of it, and listen to this very carefully. Remember that thing I said earlier that if I told my wife I want to make $2 million by next year, and a year comes by and I call to my wife, I was like, honey, I'm so sorry, sweetie, I failed. I only made $100,000. You really think I'm going to be crying about that? Oh my God, I'm going to be so happy, like 100,000. Whoa! Oh, next year I want 200,000. I want more. But you know what? If you spend $20 on this product, and you can make $500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, $10,000 in a year, man, you really should get your money back. Because let me tell you, to make back that $20 is like the least of your problems, especially if you do the things that you need to do. And that's what I want to get you to do. I want you to take that uncomfortable action. I want you to do the things you need to do. But I need you to plan it. Because until I started planning the things that I needed to do, I was always a step behind. Always a step behind. There was no progress. There was no inspiration. There was nothing guiding me forward. So I created this because there wasn't an easy one out there. So I created something that I think is very easy for you to be able to follow and to be able to achieve greatness. Okay? Do yourself a favor. Commit. Before you even order it. The link is below. You can order it. But before you even get it and print it out, commit that you're going to at least do what is on the papers. And that you're going to fill in your yearly goal. And here's another quick thing I want to tell you before I forget. When you look at the year ahead, don't look at from today's perspective to that year. I will do this, or I will have that, or I will. No, because that gives you a uncertain kind of view on the whole thing. Put yourself 1 year from now. Look back till today, and look at that you took all the steps, that you achieved all that you needed to achieve, and then now you have whatever it is that you have the $100,000, you have the new house, you retired and you have enough money, and you're making enough money to supplement your pension, and you're making enough money to keep your family going in the same or better way that they were before. Okay, look at it that way, that you've already accomplished it, and that's going to give you a whole new thing and have a feeling attached to it. And I promise you, the whole perspective is going to be so different. Rather than looking from now to then, it's like hopeful, wishful thinking. No. Think of yourself in the future, and 1 year ahead from now, or 5 years ahead from now, whatever time it is, looking back at having accomplished everything that you needed. And when you write your goals, write them that way. I mean, I've got notes on there, a couple of notes, not much, but to give you an idea to do it that way. But I'm explaining to you now why. Okay? That's all I've got to say. Listen. You have the power to make life what you want to make it, what you want to make it. Don't let anyone tell you any different. I got a bonus for you. Here's a bonus. Thank you for waiting till the end of the video. If you didn't wait till the end of the video, you will not know what this bonus is. I'm writing a book. The book is called The Mind is the Way. There are concepts in there never before seen, some that I created myself and some that I learned from some of the greatest minds in self-help and, personal development. And that book, anyone who buys this digital product today for $19.97, I will send you the link to that book absolutely free. It's going to be on PDF file. I'm hoping less than a year to get it done, completed. I'm going to do the best I can to give you the most information, the clearest information that I can give you. And I want to make it simple because I like simplicity. Okay? So I want to make sure I'm not going to put all these very sophisticated words and all this concept that you're not going to be able to grasp. I'm going to make sure you're going to be able to do everything that's in that book, and that you're going to bring yourself to a higher level, and you're not going to pay a cent for that book. That's going to be my gift to you for having faith enough to order this product and take stock in yourself, right? Also invest in yourself. I respect that, okay? And it's going to be my pleasure. I'm thinking it's going to be a bestseller. That's my goal. Bestseller. You're going to get a first look at a bestseller book for free from the author, right? Hey, listen, God bless, and thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in all of your future achievements.